Hello everyone, this is Stephen Balch, your instructor for Intro to Computer Applications at Ozarka College. Today what I'm going to do is give you just a little bit of feedback on the Excel Module 1 assignments that I finished grading this morning. And then I'm going to tell you what we've got coming up due for Excel Module 2. Alright, like I said, I have finished grading the Excel Module 1 assignment, so go ahead and look at your grades for those assignments and read the corresponding grading comments. Let me know if you have any questions. Most of you did extremely well on the assignments. I was very pleased overall. Most of you, it was obvious that you put the time and effort in that was needed to do well on the assignment, so I really appreciate that. Keep up the good work. There were just a few of you who on some of the functions and formulas entered the calculated values instead of actually going through and inserting the proper functions and formulas. So just be careful on that for future assignments. Entering the formulas and functions is extremely important in Excel because it's those formulas and functions that are going to allow us to enter data more efficiently later on. So when you just enter the calculated value, for example, a total of a range of numbers, if you just enter the number as a number, not as an actual formula or function, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of using Excel to keep track of financial and numerical data, because that number is a static number. It's not going to change when you update the worksheet. Whereas when you enter a formula or a function to get that total or to get that calculated value, when you go to make changes to the worksheet later on, then it will automatically recalculate all those formulas and functions for us. It will also recreate any charts that we created based on that data. So it saves a lot of time when we actually insert the formulas and functions as it's specified in the instructions in the textbook. You don't ever want to get in the habit of just entering numbers for calculated values because of those problems that will come up later on. Plus, one of the main objectives or outcomes from learning Excel is learning how to insert the functions and formulas correctly. And if you bypass that, if you don't do it, then obviously you're not learning that process. So there's a couple reasons there that I've given you why you should enter the formulas and functions. Most of you are. There were just a couple of you that didn't do that on a couple of the calculated values. So just as a reminder, it is important to actually insert the formulas and functions into the worksheet. All right. Most of you did well on the Excel Module 1 objective test. Just as a reminder, though, you can take those tests as many times as you want to up until the due date. Your highest grade is automatically recorded. I know a lot of you already know that, but I always like to remind everyone about that. All right. So that brings us to what we've got coming up due for our next set of activities. So if we look at the activities page of my Ozarka, right now we're on week 7 of the semester. All right. And you'll notice we've got nothing else due this week, but we do have work due next week. Okay. So next week, specifically Thursday, October 12th, is when the Excel Module 2 activities are due. Okay. So be working on those. Don't wait until next week. Go ahead and start on them now. And that way, if you have questions or if you run into problems, you have time to ask me and get my feedback before you have to submit the work. Okay. Excel Module 2 is basically going to take what you've learned from Module 1 and expand on that. You're going to learn a little bit more complicated formulas and functions than what you did in Module 1. Okay? So just as a reminder, check all your formatting and your functions and formulas carefully before submitting the Module 2 assignments. Watch the demonstration videos for help. If you go to the Assignment 1 on the activities page, you'll have links to demonstration videos that I've created that basically take you step by step through the steps in the textbook to create the workbook, okay, and all the worksheets in the workbook. All right, and so just make sure that you're using those demonstration videos if you do need help following along with the steps in the textbook. Okay, these videos can come in really handy when you are having problems understanding what the book is asking you to do. All right, and also make sure that you carefully read through the instructions that I provided at the top of each assignment page. All right, and let's go back to activities here. So, yeah, and also another thing I need to kind of caution you about is the functions at the bottom of the worksheets that you're going to be doing, where you're going to be using the min, max, and average functions to get the minimum value, maximum value, and average values for a range of numbers in the worksheet. Be careful and make sure that the cell ranges in the functions are accurate, okay? Because when you use one of those functions, Microsoft Excel will propose a range of cells that you want to include in that calculation. And in some cases, it doesn't propose the correct range, and then you have to go through and actually drag through the correct range. So just be careful with that. That's something I've noticed in previous semesters that some students have problems with, is they don't pay attention to the proposed range, and then it's wrong, and then you end up with the incorrect cell ranges in your functions. Okay, so just be careful with that, and just be working on those Excel Module 2 activities. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have. Also, remember there is a Excel Module 2 help discussion item. It's the very last item under week 8, and that's a place where you can ask a question if you run into problems or have questions as you're working on the Excel Module 2 activities. Go ahead and ask your question here, and that way when I see your question and then I answer the question by replying to that discussion, other students in the class that may have similar questions can get a benefit from that. Okay, so instead of emailing me your question, I would much rather you ask the question on the discussion board here, and that way, again, it may benefit other students in the class. Okay, all right, so that's really all I have for you for today. So enjoy the rest of your week and your weekend, and I will talk to you again sometime next week. Thank you.